Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of SUGTalks. I'm Craig Dale, your host, and together with our special guests, we'll take a deep dive into the topics, challenges, and opportunities facing SAP users today. Please make sure you subscribe so you never miss another episode. I'm delighted today to be joined by Vincent Petit, ERP and Finance Systems IT Director from Inchcape. Thank you for joining me today, Vincent. In what we hope is the first of a regular series, we'll be speaking to a number of senior IT figures to hear about their careers, highs and lows, tips for getting ahead, and the challenges they've faced throughout their career. So we're absolutely delighted to be starting this today with you, Vincent. And just before we get into that, the autumn nights are closing in day by day, dare I say it, and I look out my window today and it's pouring down, so we're definitely in the throes of autumn now. But Vincent, just to start off with, did you manage to get away on holiday at all this summer?
I did, yes, thank you. I stayed in the country. I went to the South Coast, beautiful Bournemouth and Poole, and had a great time. The weather was, I guess, typically British, but we still managed to have a good time.
Oh, that's amazing. I actually was down in Dorset myself. I went to West Bay and Weymouth, so not too far from where you were.
No, not too far at all. It's a nice place, isn't it?
It's beautiful, beautiful. I did Devon last year and Dorset this year. It was absolutely wonderful. And like you say, unfortunately, you can't always guarantee the weather, but when the sun does shine, it's absolutely glorious. Okay, so back to business. Vincent, please, can you just tell us a little bit about Inchcape and your role at the company?
Of course. So Inchcape is a very old company. It's about 150 years old or over 150 years old. And it's one of the earlier trading companies in the world. Today, we focus on automotive distribution globally. We are present in 36 markets across the world. And we are representative of the main automotive manufacturers. So essentially, we sell cars, we sell parts, we sell services across the world. We are a fairly big organization, about 15,000 employees. And we are also on the stock exchange, on the London Stock Exchange, and we have been listed since 1958. So a lot of history. My role is ERP and Finance Systems IT Director. I joined Inchcape about 8.5 years ago now and moved around the organization a little bit in terms of project management to start with, and then moving on into ERP and Finance Systems.
Oh, thank you. So if we kind of go back to the very start of your career, how did you get into IT and how did you end up in the field of ERP and finance systems?
So I did a business degree at university and then started really my career in project management. This is something I wanted to do, and I ended up finding a job as a project manager in a software company. So this is where it all started. Then I moved around in that field and joined a company at the time called Carriage, which then moved on and was called ADP and then CDK and now Keyloop. We've had many different names over the last few years, but essentially this was my moving into the automotive industry. And I worked there for about 10 years as an international project manager, rolling out their ERP and dealer management system solution. So this is what I did, and this is really where I learned the trade, and I moved really into the IT side of things. I've then moved into Inchcape about 8.5 years ago, which was one of the customers of the solution that I was managing on the software at the software company. And this is how I ended up at Inchcape.
Oh, wow. And so it kind of was born out of the software that and the service you were providing and went to Inchcape therein.
Exactly. I think I wouldn't say that I'm technical at all. I think, my background is project management, but through the years, really understanding the systems and the ERP and dealer management systems and then the finance system as an extension has been very, very interesting. And this is why moving into really the IT element away from the project management has been something which had been kind of a natural progression in my career. Mm-hmm. And now I spend a lot of time really on the technical side, which has been a learning curve, but really interesting and an interesting challenge.
Oh, fantastic. And we often talk about that bridge between IT and the business. And, from your perspective, you've seen both sides of that. And that must really help with internal relations as well.
Definitely. I think I see that, in my view, there has been a shift between IT and business, but that just bring those two things together. Nowadays, with the digitalization of the world, I think IT is no longer a back office function of organizations. I see IT as being right there as part of the strategy of any organization. The digitalization, everything is moving, all the business processes are changing, and IT is all over this and really supporting the strategy. So I think having an understanding of both the business and IT really gives me a well-rounded vision of what is required and where we need to go. So I think it works very well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. We might come back to that a little bit later, and just want to focus on you, if I may, at the moment. So how your progression through Inchcape, and how did you land your current role?
So when I joined Inchcape about 8.5 years ago now, I joined as a program manager rolling out the ERP and dealer management system that I had just left from the vendor side. And at the time, Inchcape had a twin track strategy of rolling out two different systems, one of them being SAP, the other one being Autoline, which is an automotive specific ERP system. And I just took over rolling out this system at Inchcape. And as the years moved on and I grew in experience and the organization was restructured, I then took on all ERP systems, all dealer management systems, and eventually moved into the current IT leadership team as an IT director.
Oh, and how big is your team at Inchcape?
So I have a central team which supports very, very good local teams. So we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing, rolling out our systems and improving the standardization of our IT landscape without the very deep and very important knowledge of the local teams. So there is local teams in all markets, and we are here to support them. So I've got a central team of about 20 people, but part of our vision is we have also created a new team specific to SAP, an SAP team in Colombia, in what we call our digital delivery center. We started this about January last year, so this is fairly new. And over the last few months, I've recruited about 85 people in Colombia, reporting directly into me, and here to support our colleagues across the world. We used to outsource a lot of the SAP work, the configuration, the support, etc., and the development. And we are bringing this in-house now to try to bring efficiencies and to streamline our operations.
Oh, wow. Have you got any plans to pop out over there in the winter to get a bit of warmth at all?
As soon as Colombia is no longer on the red list, I will be on a plane.
Yes, hopefully South America will get themselves sorted, hopefully, and everybody comes out of it soon. Fingers crossed for that.
I hope so.
And, what role does SAP play in Inchcape's overall IT and business strategy?
SAP is very important for us. I think, as we operate in 36 different markets, we need to have a single way of doing accounting, of managing our business processes. And I think SAP as a global systems gives us that that possibility of a standardization. The aim at the end of the day is to service our customers better and our OEMs, the car manufacturers. And I think SAP gives us that strong system, especially in finance, but not exclusively in finance, where we are able to just have one solution for all our markets and try to standardize as much as possible. The compliance element is very important as well, and we know that SAP is accredited and works in all those markets. And I think this is why we work very closely with SAP. It's just part of our strategy. Really, it helps us roll out our strategy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, excellent. And so I assume you've got quite a lot of future plans for SAP then as you're bringing everything together.
Yes, we do. I think really our business ambition is to, as I said, to increase the consistency, the speed of transaction, the automation efficiencies, and SAP has to be part of this for us. There is a lot of things that we are working on at the moment, which is, moving to the cloud with RISE with SAP. We are rolling out more and more the SAP product portfolio. We're just starting a project to roll out success factors across all our markets. So really, SAP is in the middle of really all our strategy and for the future, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Oh, excellent. And what's been the biggest IT challenge you've recently faced, and how were you able to overcome that?
I think clearly COVID has been very, very difficult and changed so many things and so many ways of working. I think for me, for my team, the rollout of our systems, whether it's SAP or other systems, finance systems, usually used to be done on site. We used to have boots on the ground when we do a go live, and this, of course, hasn't been possible for the last almost 2 years now. So it really has been reinventing and reimagining the way we can support our market, the way we can support our customers and OEMs, and just looking at this remote working, remote support, remote go live, which is not ideal, especially with the different time zones. But this really has been the biggest challenge. And if I look at my team as well, we used to, certainly the central team, we used to meet on a very regular basis. And over the last 18 months, this hasn't happened. But more importantly, the creation of the Digital Delivery Center in Colombia, 85 people that I have recruited in the last few months, I haven't met a single one of them. And yet we are operational, we are working, we are absolutely part of the team. And this has been something that I don't think we would have imagined before COVID, that we knew that global teams were something for the future, something we needed to do. But really this has made it happen because there was no other choice. And actually it works very well. I'm not suggesting that all travels will be something of the past, because I think it's still important to meet on a regular basis. But certainly we have proved that we can work remotely and we can successfully deliver our systems out there without being on site.
Oh, thanks. Do you feel there's been any specific key factors in that have really enabled that to be a success?
I think really the communication tools that we have, we found that we just wouldn't be able to be where we are. I mean, I dread to think what would have happened if COVID had happened 20 years ago or 30 years ago. I think the fact that we have communication tools, that we're able to speak to each other, being on camera and almost feel like we are together, I think this has been key to this. And it's interesting now that the world is reopening and we're starting to meet up again face to face. Sometimes it's hard to remember whether we've actually ever met face to face with the people that we're meeting in the office, and because it feels like we know each other so well, yet we've never actually been together in the same room.
It's interesting that the first time when it is face to face, I'm sure it will be a joyous occasion.
Definitely.
So where do you go for help when you require advice on ERP or finance system matters?
I think my first port of call is usually my colleagues. I think I have great colleagues and great teams across the world. So much experience within Inchcape, across the world, the local teams as well as the central teams. So I think that's usually where I go first. I have people who have worked with SAP, for example, for many years. For me, SAP is fairly new. It's really in the last 18 months that SAP has been something that I've been exposed to. So there is a lot of knowledge out there, and I have no problem at all picking up the phone and just asking for help. But I think what has also happened in the last few months or 18 months is really the collaboration with SAP. I spend a lot of time speaking to SAP colleagues. So I call them colleagues because I feel that we're part of the same team. But there really is a great sense of partnership and openness for me to be able to have no problem asking sometimes stupid questions to SAP if I need to. So that's where I go. Of course, I've recently joined the SAP user group. So I see the SAP user group as being exactly there for this, to help me as well. I haven't really started this networking and this, asking for help, but I know that I will. And I think this is the beauty of the user group, really.
No, thank you. And whilst we're on that point, I mean, yes, I know you only recently joined our community as a member, but obviously there's reasons behind that, and how important do you see the role of user groups to support customers?
I think hugely important. The amount of knowledge there is out there in different industries that can come together in this one forum. And, to me, this is going to be, I'm sure, key to growing my knowledge of SAP, my knowledge of how to understand this big landscape and, the lessons learned, the shared experiences, etc. But of course, networking as well. So to me, I really see the user group as being hugely beneficial for Inchcape, but personally as well for my career, for just developing a wider understanding of the world outside my organization. I think it's the user group is going to be key to that.
Excellent. Well, we aim to drive success for the whole SAP community, and hopefully we can do that for you and Inchcape as well as everybody else. So, welcome officially on a podcast to the user group community. And whilst we're on that area of support, how would you rate the level of support provided by software vendors and perhaps your IT partners?
I think absolutely key to everything we do. I think, especially with SAP, where this partnership has grown over the last few months, and we're moving away from using system integrators, and we're really using SAP to do a lot of the work that we need to contract out. And the support from SAP has been absolutely fantastic. I actually feel that we SAP, as far as I'm concerned, are part of my team. It's not an us and them. It's really, we're working together with the same goal, and this is working very well. But without that support, I don't think that we would be able to move at the pace that we're moving. So I think it's very, very key to everything we're doing.
Excellent. And one of the areas we work in closely with SAP on is trust. And we've run a number of workshops now, and we've got a couple more following up coming very soon. And that is all about building trust in relationships between customers and SAP. From both sides of the fence. What does everything mean to SAP? What does everything mean to customers? And how do we all need to change to foster that trusted relationship and that very close collaboration? Are there any specific reasons you feel you've got such a strong collaboration with SAP?
I think think just the people that we are dealing with at SAP and the projects that we've started with SAP has meant that it just gelled and it just worked. And I think I don't believe I've seen this before with other organizations for this to happen so quickly. And I'm wondering whether COVID actually played a part in this, because we were working remotely. We were working very intensely almost every day on video calls. If we had been in traditional way of doing things, probably we would have had the odd call, but really meeting on a regular basis maybe, and it would have been much more disjointed. I think very early on, we ended up working in a kind of synergy that because, of course, we were driving very, very tight deadlines in what we were trying to achieve. I think both from the SAP side and from our side, we ended up we had to do it, and it just happened. And I think I certainly trust the team implicitly with what we're doing, and I have no problem picking up the phone and asking them questions that maybe are not related to what we're doing, just because I know that they will give me the right level of advice. So I think all of this has just worked very well.
Yeah, excellent. So it kind of some elements, if I may pick out of that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Vincent. But what I'm hearing here is kind of the will of both sides to make this collaboration work. The people involved, their behaviours and their attitudes have been absolutely towards making it work. And once you put all of that together, there's a will on both sides, trust on both sides, and we go forward. And I suppose it's back to what one of the things I often look at is, I will trust people until that trust is broken, rather than be wary, if you know what I mean, as I enter a relationship. So it does that ring true with how you started and have continued?
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. I think, one other thing I wanted from the start, which has happened, is I did not want a customer-supplier relationship where, you feel that every time you picking up the phone, it's costing you money or somebody is trying to sell you something. And thankfully, this is not where it went. We ended up with a real partnership. As I said, this is just one team, and we're having a lot of meetings maybe that are not specific to the projects that we're running. Where I'm inviting SAP to some internal meetings that I'm running, because I feel that they are the right people to represent what we're doing at Inchcape in front of my peers, maybe within the organization. And I think this partnership is key. And you're right, it's based on trust. And I have no reason to think that this trust won't carry on, because it started so well.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you very much for that insight. Very, very important, I believe, and powerful, and kind of linking into that as well. And thank you, because you're speaking in our Rise with SAP stream at our annual conference, UK ISO Connect, at the end of November. And if anybody's listening and is really interested in looking at those relationships and looking at why and how for Rise with SAP, I'd really recommend coming along to Vincent's session that's taking place at that event. And just going back now to what we were talking about earlier, you mentioned project management, and throughout your career you've had a lot of project management experience. And as we look at programs in the world of SAP, obviously there are lots of successes. There are also failures, and throughout the world we'll probably hear more about the failures than we do about the successes, to be honest. But what would be your top tips to help ensure that IT projects run smoothly?
I think certainly always delivering to a business case. I think the benefits of the IT solutions are always obvious to the IT world, but I think not necessarily to the business. And I think it's important that we have a clear business case with what are the benefits of what we're trying to achieve. But, that's one element of it. But another element clearly is, clarity of scope and requirements and hugely important change control. I think it's so easy to see scope creep and to, things change within the lifetime of a project. And I think unless you have clear and rigorous change control, things start to go wrong. But I think, this just leads you to governance. Clearly strong and clear governance is key to any successful project. The one thing that I think is often underestimated is the business change, so the change management. And I think this is something that I'm not sure how good we are generally in IT when we're rolling out projects to understand that what we are implementing has got quite a significant impact for people and for the organization. And this organization change is often a little bit of it may not be as strongly understood, and it's not as easy to address as clear change control or within the project itself. So I think looking at the organization change management is something which is hugely important, and I feel that there is still a lot of work to be done in those areas of linking the IT delivery to the organizational changes that it's bringing.
And I would certainly agree with that. Business change can often be very underestimated, and it's actually prompted a white paper that we're developing at the moment that we will be releasing at the conference, looking at the cost of change, because not only is it underestimated, the actual costs or hidden costs of change are often not seen until it's a bit too late, unfortunately, in some projects.
Fully agree.
So what, you touched on there, avoid, if you like, do not underestimate the cost of change. Are there any other elements that you would recommend organizations avoid doing to ensure success?
I guess it's part of the same theme, but it's avoid to deliver in isolation. Okay, I think we've moved away from IT project as being purely IT, and I think, as I was saying earlier on, with the digitalization of the world, this is no longer IT as a back office service is really part of the overall strategy and an enabler to the strategy. And I think it's the same thing when you're delivering IT projects. Those are actually business projects. They're not IT projects. We just happen to be here bringing a tool and delivering this. But unless you have a business sponsorship, strong business sponsorship, and a clear business case, and you're not trying to do this in isolation, then I think very, very, this is the way to succeed. Unfortunately, this is often misunderstood, and IT is being seen, right, we're going out there, we're delivering a new system, and, we'll just shoehorn it within the business trying to do their daily job, and it doesn't work. Unless there is business sponsorship, delivering in isolation just is no longer something that can be done.
Thank you very much. And as we're coming to the close now, I just wondered if you'd be able to perhaps look into your crystal ball and just let us know from your perspective, what do you think will be the biggest change we'll see perhaps in the IT world in the next 10 years?
Mm-hmm. I wish I had a crystal ball, but I think. But there's a lot of transformation happening at the moment with IT, and we could talk about things like moving to the cloud, but to a certain extent this is already happened, or this is already happening. I think really the things that I think will happen over the next 10 years is I think we will have cracked identity. I think we will do away with usernames and passwords, and identity management I think will be something that will be around, and I think will work so much better than it does at the moment. I think the other element, which I think at the moment is causing pain, which I'm expecting to evolve, is the interconnectedness of our systems. We rely at the moment on complicated interfaces and APIs that do not always work very well. I think over the next 10 years, this is something that, this friction will disappear and data will just be seamless. And I don't know how we do this, and I wish I did, but I think this is really where we're going to see a lot of changes. I think that the foundations that we have now with, cloud computing and all of that, this should be something of the past. And it will be really about the data flowing seamlessly and without complicated pieces of coding in the middle.
That's quite interesting as well, that being able to pick up your data and take it elsewhere or move it, and that interconnectedness and the seamless movement of that. It was a recent conversation I was having on a podcast with Ray Wong from Constellation Research, and he was talking about data ownership, and even from a personal level, we owning the data that any kind of, if you like, cloud company, so to speak, owns about us, and us being able to, pick up that data and take it elsewhere. So if you put that again in the business perspective, it should allow us to move from one system to another quite seamlessly by picking up the data and moving it, because at the end of the day, it is our data.
Absolutely, definitely. Fully agree. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. we all look forward to that seamless world. And Vincent, thank you very much for your time and your insights. We look forward to having you speak in our Rise with SAP breakout stream at the annual conference. You guys will connect later this month. So thank you very much. And, thank you all for listening. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found it valuable. So until the next time, stay safe, stay well, and keep washing your hands.